Dave Ramsey, the man, the myth, the legend. Now, he's right about a lot of things, but on this one particular topic, he's the rightest, wrongest man to ever have existed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another week of one of the hottest video series out on YouTube today, Talk to Me Tuesday. Now, we're talking about Mr. Dave Ramsey. You know, he's got a big old following. You know, people they gravitate and they hold on to his thoughts and opinions. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I need the answers, Dave. Can you please provide me some answers, Dave? And then he gives it to him. You know, he probably talks really bad to him sometimes, you know. But on the other hand, like, Dave is right about a lot. Like maybe, you know, snowballing debts and things of this nature. So by him being right about some things, people assume that he's right about everything. But let me tell you, there's one thing that he is right and wrong about, and that is life insurance. Absolutely. Now, I frequent some of his videos. Hell, his page was even, I say, kind of inspirational for me to make this channel the way that I've made it. But I've watched a lot of his life insurance videos, and I've seen him be right about some things and be wrong about some things. And the things that he was extremely wrong about, he talked really crazy to people about them. So I'm here this week to break down just some of the things that he is right and wrong about when it comes to life insurance, okay? So typically, what Dave fields questions about, it would either be whole life insurance policies or to be term policies, right? So Mr. Dave is a big fan of term policies. Like, term policies is the way to go as far as life insurance is concerned, primarily because it's cheaper than whole life policies. And that's correct. So let's take this an example. Let's just say we were to get a $50 policy for both term and whole life policies. So for the year, of course, if we would pay, since we're going to pay it that way, we'd be paying roughly $600 a year for this policy. Now, the face values of the policies may differ. So what he would say is, hey, well, if you're going to do that, why don't you pay more for your term insurance to get a bigger face value than you would with your whole life value? And then after that, why don't you invest the difference in what you will be spending? So if you were spending 50 here and then maybe you spent 75 here, you know, you would more than likely split the difference and invest that somewhere. So whatever that math turns out to be, you're going to be putting the investment in some other vehicle, and it's usually something that's really market volatile that he would suggest that you do, all under the guise of saving money. So in a nutshell, he is correct. Whole life policies are more expensive than term policies, but I haven't seen him tell people why that is, okay? So usually with term policies, you don't get a lot of the extras that you would with a whole life policy. Like your whole life policies, they come with living benefits, they come with cash value, and of course they last longer. So by essence, they want you to pay a little bit more for those policies because you're building up your cash value. He doesn't like cash value, and for the reasons I will explain later. Typically, when you get term, all you get is basically a death benefit. Now, term is becoming more of a hybrid type of deal, but at the same time is running the price up for term as well. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of term policies now that you could get that have the living benefits, but they still don't have the cash value component, which is basically like two of the main differences between whole life policies and term, right? So on that's one of the things that he's right and wrong about. Another thing that he is right and wrong about is cash value. Now, his whole thing is there is no way, there's no chance, and there's a snowball's chance in hell that you will be able to get the cash value from your whole life policies, you know, when the policy maturates. And basically maturates is either you turn 100, you turn 120, or you die. And that is not necessarily the truth. Now, some companies do allow you to get said cash value from these policies, okay? It's on my end, it's as simple as pressing one button and changing a level death benefit to an increasing death benefit. And basically what that means, level death benefit basically means in a nutshell that you're going to get the face value of the policy and nothing else. But with the increasing death benefit, then you get the face value plus the cash value that you've accumulated. Not everybody offers this, okay? Not every policy has this. There are certain companies that do have it, and there are certain companies that don't have it. It's on you and your agent to figure out if that particular policy for that particular company has that kind of thing. So again, he's right and he's wrong. And one of the wildest things that he tends to do when he has this discussion is he'll dog you out because you have a whole life policy and you have the cash value. And of course he's assuming that he's right, because he'll tell you he's right because it's his show, and then he'll hang up in your face. But he, again, like I say, he's right and he's wrong. And of course, another thing that he's right and wrong about is he has this idea that people are going to invest the difference in whole life in term wisely. Like if I'm saving money, I'm a normal person, right? And if I'm saving money somewhere and I could have spent X amount here and I'm spending X amount there, I'm putting that in no ETF or no mutual fund or nothing like that. I'm about to go around the corner to the Burger King. I'm about to get me a large number 2 with no onions and maybe a Dr. Pepper. Might get me a Sprite. It just really depends on how I feel that day. So there's a weird thing that he does to people. It's not really cool, but I mean, hell, I guess controversy creates cash. So he's going to keep doing it as long as he can. But let me tell you, I know that people don't really know this about Mr. Dave, but Mr. Dave kind of has an agenda behind why he wants to push term life instead of whole life. He has affiliations with companies that sell term. So when you watch his videos and he's going term this, term that, term this, term that, and then you know, oh yeah, Dave said term, let me look it up. And then of course on maybe one of his websites or something like that, he'll have get a quote for term policies here. And then if you scroll down to the bottom and you kind of read in the fine print, it'll say something about maybe he'll receive his company will receive compensation, may receive compensation for you getting a policy through his affiliate links. So, I mean, if I had an agenda like that, of course, I'm pushing term, whole life, whatever. I mean, because when people get this, they want to get it for as cheap as possible. I don't care what it is. Sometimes it's okay to spend money on things if you're getting a good benefit out of it. But it's almost like, there's people who, of course, use mouthwash. So there's people who use the name brand, and there's people who use like the off brand. And for things like that, mama always told me, you want to go with the name brand and not the cheap stuff, because the cheap stuff will mess you up. So, I mean, you get what you pay for. If you want to take Dave Ramsey's advice on that kind of thing, he is not a life insurance agent. He's not even a financial advisor. So he really can't tell you what to do and what not to do. But he can give you advice on what he feels is the appropriate thing to do for this. Now, I'm going to tell you, as a person who is in this field and who actively talks to people all the time and runs quotes and things of this nature, whatever you feel like you want for your family and for your benefit, do that. There's people who don't understand what term is. Term literally means that the policy is going to end at some point. And a lot of those policies are not convertible to whole life policies. So you spent 20 years or 30 years paying into a term life policy, and more than likely it's not a return of premium policy. So now you don't get your money back. So now you're back in the market. You're older. Your policy is going to cost you more. And it's Dave Ramsey's fault because you listen. Well, it's not really Dave Ramsey's fault. It's your fault because you listen to Dave Ramsey, who is not an insurance guy at all. He has friends in the industry that tell him things. He'll admit that himself. I heard him say it. So I'm doing the same thing he's doing. I'm giving you advice as a person who sells insurance. Who you gonna listen to? You gonna listen to me, or you gonna listen to some guy with just a little bit of information that's right and a lot of information that's wrong? You tell me.